Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. It's continuing... Oh, you know the rest. Anyway, there's a lot to love and enjoy in the Star Trek fandom right now, not the least of which is the fact that the franchise is growing in ways that it could have never been thought possible before. At one point in time, we'd be lucky if we had one Star Trek show on, but now, thanks to its rapid rise of fame, we have 4. And the newest one, Strange New Worlds, is coming soon. So allow us to show you Star Trek Strange New Worlds details. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 5. The setup. Star Trek fandom has been a powerful force for half a century. It was the reason Paramount brought James T Kirk and the original crew back for a run of movies, and now it's the power behind Star Trek Strange New Worlds becoming the latest TV show from the final frontier. Picking up after the events of Star Trek Discovery Season 2, the new series will follow the missions of Captain Christopher Pike, Lieutenant Spock, and Number One on board the USS Enterprise, a decade or so before Kirk takes the helm. When we said we heard the fans' outpouring of love for Pike, Number One, and Spock when they boarded Star Trek Discovery last season, we meant it. Executive producer and franchise overlord Alex Kurtzman told StarTrek.com when Star Trek Strange New Worlds was announced in May 2020. These iconic characters have a deep history in Star Trek canon, yet so much of their stories have yet to be told. The Enterprise, its crew, and its fans are in for an extraordinary journey to new frontiers in the Star Trek universe. Alongside its familiar trio of lead characters, still played by Anson Mount, Ethan Peck, and Rebecca Romijn, 5 new crew members will be taking their places on the Enterprise bridge. Showrunners are also promising a more episodic approach to storytelling than we've seen in the show's stablemates Discovery and Picard. This will actually make it more in line with the original Star Trek series, while also giving the other series their own thing to hold on to as time goes on. Number 4. How production got halted for a bit. Having been held up by the coronavirus delays, Star Trek Strange New Worlds belatedly went into production in Toronto in March 2021. Toronto's website states that the project Star Trek is currently in production there and will run for 10 episodes. Paramount Plus is yet to confirm a launch date, but seeing as Star Trek shows are traditionally effects-heavy and require a long time in post-production, we don't expect to see the Star Trek Strange New Worlds release date to arrive before 2022. That means it'll almost definitely land after Star Trek Discovery Season 4, confirmed for late 2021, though whether or not it'll beat Star Trek Picard Season 2 out of space dock is uncertain at this time. Still, at least we won't be waiting as long as we will for fellow Discovery spin-off Section 31. That show's still looking for a green light. While we know Strange New Worlds will stream on Paramount Plus in the US, as it just launched and is using the Star Trek shows to lure in new members, its destination in other territories is TBC. Discovery streamed on Netflix, while Amazon Prime Video nabbed the rights to Picard and Lower Decks, so it may come down to a bidding war. But you can bet that it will go international, as that'll help its streaming numbers, as well as maintaining the hype of the franchise all around. Number 3. The cast. Having owned the bridge when seconded to Star Trek Discovery's second season, Anson Mount is back in the captain's chair as Captain Christopher Pike. Meanwhile, after proving himself worthy of donning the pointy ears that once belonged to Leonard Nimoy, Ethan Peck returns as Spock. And Rebecca Romijn, who made a few guest appearances in Discovery, reprises her role as First Officer Helmsperson Number One. The 5 new additions to the USS Enterprise bridge crew are Melissa Navia, Dietland, Celia Rose Gooding, Jagged Little Pill, Christina Chong, Doctor Who, Line of Duty, Babs Olusanmokun, Black Mirror, and Jess Bush, Skinford. We can't wait to see what roles they're all going to be playing in Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Number 2. Maintaining history and making new history. Pike, Spock, and Number One have been part of the Star Trek story even longer than James T Kirk. They were on board the Enterprise in the original Star Trek pilot The Cage, unaired in the 60s, and set more than a decade before Kirk's famous 5-year mission. Jeffrey Hunter, Leonard Nimoy, and Mael Barrett originated the 3 roles. While we know that the trio have been together at least 3 years by the time Star Trek Strange New Worlds kicks off, and that a tragic fate awaits Pike, more on that later, most of their voyages remain undocumented. That means it's prime storytelling territory. We're going to try to harken back to some classical Trek values, to be optimistic, and to be more episodic, said executive producer Akiva Goldsman and director of the Strange New Worlds pilot episode to Variety in May 2020. Obviously, we will take advantage of the serialized nature of character and story building, but I think our plots will be more closed-ended than you've seen in either Discovery or Picard. I think what we'd want to do is keep the characters having moved through and recognizing the experiences they've had in previous episodes, he added, but to be able to tell contained episodic stories. Goldsman explained a bit more in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter in April. If you think back to the original Star Trek series, it was tonally more liberal. I don't mean in terms of politics, but it could sort of be more fluid. Like sometimes Robert Bloch would write a horror episode, or Harlan Ellison would have City on the Edge of Forever, which is hard sci-fi. Then there would be comedic episodes like Shore Leave or The Trouble with Tribbles. So co-showrunner Henry Alonzo Myers and myself are trying to serve that. We've all become very enamored, myself included, with serialized storytelling. Picard is deeply serialized, but Strange New Worlds is very much Adventure of the Week, but with serialized character arcs. All this suggests that the show will get back to the more episodic structure that defined the original series and much of the Next Generation era, a radical departure from the heavily serialized Discovery and Picard. Indeed, the ability to visit a huge galaxy of, well, Strange New Worlds should allow the show to feel different from week to week, a versatile formula that's a big reason for the franchise's longevity. Going on Mount's performance in Discovery, Pike is the ideal captain for an optimistic mission of exploration. We can also expect to see a Spock more prone to displays of emotion than his original series counterpart. In The Cage, Number One was the more buttoned-up, logical member of the crew, with her personality traits passing to the Vulcan when Star Trek went to series. Maybe we'll also get to find out if Number One has a surname. Discovery confirmed her first name is Una, but that's all we know. That being said, the crew behind the scenes knows that they can't go too far or else they'll mess up the timeline. It's a fine line because obviously we want to keep continuity with the storytelling and the style, but we also want Strange New Worlds to be a different show, Goldsman told The Hollywood Reporter. It's not Discovery. There are a few more reachbacks to the original series, and the uniforms have been adjusted slightly. The sets are slightly different. Remember, the Enterprise existed as a little piece of Star Trek Discovery, but now it's its own object. When you close your eyes and think of the key sets and situations that you think of the original series, that's what we are looking to do. Number 1. Boldly go. It's honestly kind of funny to see what's going on with Star Trek Strange New Worlds, because when Star Trek Discovery was announced, people weren't sure it would work, especially with it being on a streaming platform. But that show sparked a revolution of storytelling within the universe, and now we have yet another series being able to delve into what makes this particular sci-fi universe so special. The fans clearly love this trio of characters and wanted to see more of them, and this series will allow that. And when you add that to Lower Decks, Picard, Discovery, and potentially more series on the way, you can say without a shadow of a doubt that Star Trek is going to live long and prosper for however long they can keep this going. So what do you think? What do you think of this look at Star Trek Strange New Worlds and how it's shaping up to be the next great Star Trek epic in its own right? Are you happy to watch this alongside Discovery, Picard, Lower Decks, and all the other Star Trek goodness that's out right now? What do you personally think will be the thing that puts Strange New Worlds on the levels of others? What characters are you looking forward to seeing in the series? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.